Syracuse basketball is back. It sure does feel nice to say that again. The Orange gets set to start its 2015-16 campaign.
We'll fill you in on the key players and sit down with head coach Jim Boeheim.
We'll tell you what to watch for this SU basketball season. It's all on CitrusTV's 2015 basketball preview show, and it starts right now.
Blind, I was blinded, and I don't see once again.
Welcome inside the Carmelo Anthony Basketball Center on the SU campus for this year's edition of CitrusTV's Basketball Preview Show. Alongside Andrew Scaglione, I'm Tim Langlois, and Andrew, a lot to look forward to this basketball season.
Certainly plenty of young talent, a lot of new faces, and a chance for the Orange to make a return to the postseason. But before we look at all that, let's take a look back at last season, although it's one you may want to forget.
We are underway here in the Dome. The season has begun. Syracuse in 2014-15. It's off the front iron, rebound McCullough. Here comes the Orange, and McCullough throws it out of bounds. Trying to run the floor, he overshot Joseph and threw it into the Michigan bench.
True freshman center Chris McCullough went down with a knee injury in the first half.
Ridiculous. You're the worst I've ever been around. We do not talk, maybe you're new, I don't know. We don't talk about postseason. We don't think about it. We play the next game.
Roberson the inbound, hands off Benajay. 5 seconds. Benajay straight away, drives the lane, twirls around, buzzer beater, good! 1 second to go! Syracuse up by 2, 72-70.
You can't make it. You're shooting 15%. All right? I can shoot 15% right now. I'm 70 years old. I can shoot 15%.
In an email sent to students, SU Chancellor Kent Siverud announced today at around 5 p.m. that the university had self-imposed a postseason ban for this season. That means no NCAA tournament, no NIT, and no ACC tournament.
Syracuse turnover 3-on-2. Joseph, Cooney, and Benajay. Joseph takes it alone. Second dunk of the game. Caleb Joseph is feeling it tonight. 7 of 7 from the field, 14 points.
Oboko and Onuaku fight for the rebound, and it comes down to Louisville. Clean pass, blocked by Benajay on the slam from Rozier. Are you kidding me?
Benajay dribbles deep right wing, 8 on the shot clock. Slashes middle, picks up his dribble, passes over to Cooney, 30 feet out. Straightaway free ball, money. What a shot for Cooney.
The penalties include a 5-year probationary period starting today, as well as relinquishing 108 game wins. Head basketball coach Jim Boeheim is also suspended for the first 9 ACC conference games for the 2015-2016 basketball season.
Syracuse also announced in his email that head coach Jim Boeheim intends to retire in just 3 years. The Hall of Fame coach has been at SU since 1962.
Leading off some important losses that Syracuse will have to replace is none other than Rakeem Christmas. Rack was drafted 36 overall in June by the Minnesota Timberwolves. That pick was quickly traded to Cleveland, and then a month later, Christmas ultimately ended up in Indiana with the Pacers. Christmas averaged 17.6 points per game last year, including a career-high 35 points in an overtime thriller over Wake Forest. The Orange will certainly have their hands full in replacing the center position, as Christmas also averaged nearly 9 boards per contest.
And then you look at Chris McCullough, a player the Orange never got a full dose of. The 6'10" freshman started the first 16 games before a torn ACL ended his campaign. McCullough posted over 9 points and nearly 7 rebounds per game. Even after the injury, McCullough declared for the NBA draft and was picked 29th overall by the Brooklyn Nets.
And with a crowded incoming class for the Orange, B.J. Johnson decided to transfer to LaSalle. Johnson will sit out this season because of NCAA rules, but last year for the Orange scored just more than 4 points per game and had a career-high 19-point performance in Syracuse's upset of Notre Dame.
Another player that left Syracuse, sharpshooter Ron Patterson. After 2 seasons of limited minutes, the Indiana native decided to go home. Patterson transferred to IUPUI in Indianapolis and will sit out a season. The guard scored a career-best 13 points against Colgate last winter, a game in which he hit 3 three-pointers.
2015 is a year many Syracuse fans might want to forget. The university handed down a self-imposed postseason ban, with the NCAA handing down additional penalties after its investigation. CitrusTV's Tyler Cass recaps that investigation and what the implications are for Syracuse moving forward.
Last season's problems started on the court when it became clear the team wouldn't live up to preseason expectations. Soon, the focus shifted off the court with a whole host of new problems.
Syracuse University Chancellor Kent Syverud has just announced a self-imposed postseason ban for the men's basketball team.
As it turned out, the self-imposed ban was just the start. Soon, the NCAA would have its say.
The NCAA handed down sanctions today pertaining to multiple infractions committed by the Syracuse University men's football and basketball programs.
The sanctions boiled down to a 5-year probationary period, vacated wins, multiple fines, and the loss of scholarships for the next 4 men's basketball seasons. But the most immediate loss, perhaps, will be felt this year, when Coach Boeheim will be forced to sit out the first 9 ACC games. The coach strongly disagreed with the committee's decision.
This could not be further from the truth.
Even with sanctions looming, many of the older players feel a sense of relief getting to play in the postseason this year.
I think it's definitely a fresh start for everybody, so I think everybody's goal is to make it to the tournament and do good.
It was definitely tough, but I mean, I think as a group, the guys that are back this year, I think it gives us just a little edge, a little chip on our shoulders just to prove people wrong this year and get back into the tournament.
With expectations lowered, the squad will assume a new role on the national stage.
This season, I don't think much is on the line, to be honest. We're definitely the hunter instead of being hunted like the previous year, so it should be exciting.
Both Syracuse University and Coach Boeheim are in the process of appealing the sanctions against them. Boeheim believes he will hear back from the NCAA before the regular season begins. For Citrus TV Sports, I'm Tyler Cass.
And this season, it's so vital for Syracuse to have that senior leadership. The Orange looks to Trevor Cooney to fill the void.
Cooney leads off the returners, Andrew. He comes back as a redshirt senior and should hit 1,000 points in his career fairly early in the season. Cooney is 42 points away from hitting the 1,000 mark for his college career. Look for Cooney to be one of the leaders of this team as one of the elder statesmen of the group. Expect to see him back at his usual shooting guard post.
And expect to see Michael Benege at the starting point guard spot. Benege averaged 12 points, 5 boards, and nearly 4 assists per game. His career high of 27 points came against Duke. This summer, Benege was busy helping Nigeria win the Afro basketball title and qualify for the Rio Olympics next summer.
Caleb Joseph is back for his sophomore season, and although losing some playing time in parts of games last year, still started in all but one of the Cuse's games last season. Joseph averaged 6 points per contest and nearly 4 assists in his first season at point guard on the Hill.
One of the most consistent Orange last season was Tyler Roberson. The junior posted 6 double-doubles while contributing 8 points and 7 rebounds per game. The New Jersey native started 18 games and figures to factor into Boeheim's offense once again.
Now to a returner who hasn't played a game for the Orange in a long while, Dajuan Coleman. The senior missed the entirety of last season recovering from knee surgery. Coleman first injured his leg in late December 2013, so he hasn't played in nearly 2 years. In the 2012-13 season, Coleman averaged 4.8 points and 4 rebounds per game. Look for the Janesville native to have a presence in the middle of Jim Boeheim's 2-3 zone.
And finally, another name you may not be familiar with, 6'9" Chinoso Oboko. He goes by Chino and only played in less than half of the Orange's games. However, Oboko did have double-digit minutes in games at Duke and at Notre Dame.
Along with some returners from last season, some new faces will make their way into the lineup this year out of a recruiting class that was ranked one of the nation's best.
The highest touted recruit, Malachi Richardson. The 6'6" freshman was the New Jersey Gatorade State Player of the Year. Richardson led Trenton Catholic to the state semifinals and was voted first team All-New Jersey. In the bigger picture, Richardson was named the number 23 player in the ESPN.com class of 2015.
Forward Tyler Lydon steps in at 6'8", 205. The freshman attended New Hampton School in New Hampshire and is ranked at 4 stars and number 76 in ESPN's top 100 recruits in the class of 2015. Jim Boeheim has said that Lydon is versatile and could see time at the 3, 4, and 5, the latter of which the Orange could be thin at, especially with Dajuan Coleman coming off injury.
And the third freshman who should contribute to Boeheim's squad, Franklin Howard. The 6'4" guard from Maryland played for Paul IV, pacing the Panthers to a state runner-up finish in Virginia. Howard was also a first-team All-Virginia state pick and rounds out this stout recruiting class.
We've just scratched the surface with a broad look at this year's Syracuse team. Stick around as we sit down with Trevor Cooney and take a look at the schedule. This is Citrus TV's Basketball Preview Show.
Another season of Orange basketball excitement will be here soon. Wisconsin, North Carolina, Notre Dame, and Pittsburgh are all due in the Dome. Will you be there when this happens?
One, let it go, hits!
Will you be there when Dish happens? Will you be there when Swish happens? And Coach Q wants you there as well, as the women's team looks for its 4th straight NCAA tournament berth. Season tickets are on sale now at the Carrier Dome box office, Cuse.com, and 1-888-DOME-TICKS.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Hey? God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Everything looks like it's on it. Another three for Trevor Cooney. One of the great shooters in the country. Cooney feeling it. And why not?
Back here on Citrus TV's Basketball Preview Show, now joined by Trevor Cooney here on set. And Trevor, first of all, take a look back at last season a little bit. You lose Rakeem Christmas, kind of the leader of that team. What are you going to miss most about him and some of the guys that you lost from last year?
I mean, losing Rock is definitely big for us. I mean, he was a guy we could go down to every time down the floor in offense, and he was a guy who ran the middle of the 2-3, which is definitely a big part of it. So we're definitely going to miss him, but we got some new guys coming in. We got DC, so hopefully people can work hard and do well in the games just to make up for that.
Now, you being a redshirt senior your last year here, kind of a little urgency for you after making it to the Final Four a few years ago. You kind of urgent to get back to something like that?
Absolutely. I mean, with this group here, I think we're going to surprise a lot of people this year. And one thing this group definitely wants to do is just make a run. I mean, ACC tournament, NCAA tournament, you just want to get there and win some games.
Now, looking ahead at some of the scheduling coming up here in the first half of the season, some of the non-conference matchups pretty interesting. A couple old Big East teams. You excited to play like the Georgetown and St. John's?
Yeah, very excited. I mean, we have a very tough schedule this year, and especially non-conference, and definitely some big games to look forward to.
And taking a look at some of this year's new guys you're welcoming in, that freshman class, some have called it one of the top recruiting classes in the nation. What have you seen from them, and what are you thinking about them as you move into this season?
So far, with those guys, practice has been great. I mean, those guys are coming in, they're working hard, they're getting after it, they're pushing everyone to get better. And, I mean, they're definitely going to help us this year, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Now, it's Coach Boeheim's 40th season as Syracuse head coach. Any Boeheim memory, or how does he help you in your years here?
No, lots of good memories. And, I mean, he's been everything and more for me and the rest of the guys on the team. I mean, just from the game of basketball, you learn so much from him, and every single day, really.
Well, Trevor, thank you so much for joining us here on Basketball Preview Show, and best of luck this season.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Cooney and the Cuse have a packed non-conference schedule as we take a look at the 2015-16 season slate. The Orange opens up with will hopefully for the Cuse be a lucky Friday the 13th as the Orange hosts Lehigh. Then jump ahead to Thanksgiving time and you can enjoy your turkey with some Syracuse basketball in the Bahamas. A trio of games against Charlotte in Game 1, then either UConn or Michigan in Game 2, and then the finale against either Gonzaga, Washington, Texas, and Texas A&M in what is a top-notch tournament. Then the Orange comes home for what may be the most high-profile game in the Dome all year against the 2015 national runner-ups, Wisconsin. Then we take things back to old Big East play at Georgetown on December the 5th and at MSG against St. John's on December 13th.
And as we transition to ACC play after a few more non-conference games, the first game is huge. The Orange plays in the Peterson Events Center against Pitt prior to the new year. It's the first of 9 games that Coach Jim Boeheim is slated to miss. Other notable early conference games include UNC at home in early January, Duke and Wake Forest on the road, and the return of Boeheim against Notre Dame. Fittingly, that comes in the Carrier Dome.
And that begins a stretch of 4 home games in the Dome for SU in a row. The Orange then goes at Louisville on February the 17th. The last time the Cuse played there, it upset the #1 Cardinals on a Michael Carter-Williams game-clinching dunk. That was 3 years ago. A home date with Pitt follows that, and then on Senior Day, it's February 27th against NC State. Then another big Monday matchup on the road. This time it's at North Carolina, and then the season wraps up in Tallahassee against Florida State. Then this year, there will be an ACC tournament action for the Orange that is being held in Washington, D.C., and yes, in Hoya country, not in Greensboro, as it seems to always be. It's time to step aside once again on Citrus TV's Basketball Preview Show, but up next we speak with the head man. Jim Boeheim joins the program in what will be his 40th season as SU's head coach. Basketball Preview Show will be back in just 90 seconds.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to Citrus TV's 2015 Basketball Preview Show. Now joined by head coach Jim Boeheim. Coach, 40 years at Syracuse. Pretty crazy.
I feel old, you know, when people start mentioning. I don't feel old until people start talking like that. But yeah, it's been it flies by. I mean, you know, easy to say that, I guess, but it really does. It goes by so fast. It's almost you can't believe it when you hear 40.
Now, what does the Syracuse program mean to you, having been here for so long?
Well, you know, this is all I've ever known. I came to Syracuse when I was 17 years old. So, I mean, obviously, 53 years later, that's all you know. You know, you don't know anything else, and it's obviously been a great ride for me.
Now, focusing on this season a little, the start of ACC play when Coach Hopkins will take over for those 9 games. You think you've prepped him enough over all those years?
Oh, he's more than ready for that. And the other thing is the team will have had games and practices, and there'll be I make very few adjustments once you get to the 13-game mark. I mean, there's some little things you might do, but there's not a lot of big adjustments at that point in time.
Now, with this year's team, it's kind of a new look with the freshmen. What's your assessment of that class?
Well, I think they're good, and we've used freshmen in the past, so it's not too much different. We have senior leadership from our guards, fifth-year seniors. Tyler Robeson's played a lot. Dajuan Coleman's been here for 4 years, so we have some veteran guys. The freshmen will be fine. They're talented. They understand what we're doing. I think they'll be fine.
Now, going back a little to those 9 games, what will your role be with the team during that time?
We can do nothing. You can't practice. You can't go to practice. You can't talk to the players or coaches. So it's by that time they're on their own. They're going to have to be ready and able to carry on, and I think they will be. I think they'll be fine.
How excited are you to go to the Bahamas over Thanksgiving?
Well, I really don't even think about where we're going, to tell you the truth. I just coach the team and try to win games, try to win 3 games and win a tournament. And then, you know, I could be playing in Alaska. We've been to Alaska for tournaments, and, you know, we've been to Maui. I mean, it really doesn't matter to me. I think it's great for fans to be on the beach, but I don't spend much time on the beach when we're going to these tournaments.
How much will that help early on, having a lot of games against high-caliber opponents?
I think we got a great schedule. We got tough games early at home, and then we got that tournament. We got Wisconsin. We got Georgetown. We got more than enough tough games to figure out what we need to be or what we need to do.
Any one game in particular you're really looking forward to this season?
No, I don't think you ever want to get caught up in that. I think you want to get the team ready, and, you know, they're going to be excited about some games more than others, but as a coach, you have to be ready and excited about every game you play.
Now, Coach Autry's son is on the team. How cool is that to kind of see the next generation coming up?
He's a good kid. He works hard. He's been very helpful in practice. He's done a lot of good things in practice, and it's been fun having him around. I've known him for a long time.
And one more, Coach, just going back to the whole 40-year thing. What have you learned, I guess, from college basketball over that time? What has it taught you?
Well, I mean, it's a book, really. I mean, there's so many things. It's been a great experience for me. But, you know, when you play in college and you're able to stay in it and coach as an assistant, grad assistant, assistant coach, head coach, it's all you really know. And, you know, you just want to try to put together a competitive team, a good team every year. And that's what we've always tried to do. And hopefully we'll be able to do that again this year.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Always great to hear from Jimmy B. Now to the man who, barring any changes from the NCAA, will coach in 9 games this season and has already been named the head coach in waiting in 2018. Citrus TV's Kevin Ryans tells us more about Mike Hopkins.
As Jim Boeheim serves his NCAA suspension, a huge load has to be carried out by assistant coach Mike Hopkins.
He's ready to be a head coach now. He has all the attributes. He's a personal guy. Players can approach him at any time. And he's smart as well. He knows his X's and O's. And I think when his opportunity comes, he'll be successful.
Oh, I think it'd be easy for him. Hop is a great coach. You know, he basically leads us now.
There's not anyone who works harder than he does, on and off the floor, and I know he's looking forward to it, and I don't think there's a better person for the job, really.
For the 9 games Boeheim sits out, the league bans the 40-year head coach from interacting with his players, and that's something that could be tough in the middle of the season, but Hopkins has made an effort to make sure he has a good rapport with the team.
You know, some people might think, like, you know, his goal is to develop relationship with, like, the centers, but he has a great relationship with, like, all the teammates, with all the staffs, and I think it's going to be great.
Early junior year, he came to my high school, and I got to talk to him a little bit, and that was when he offered me a scholarship. So ever since then, we've had a great relationship.
Helped me morally, helped me spiritually, and just showed me that that it's more to life than just basketball, and you got to treat people nice and be a good person.
What gravitates the players to Coach Hopkins is the happy-go-lucky personality the assistant brings to the sidelines.
He comes off as a funny, goofy guy, but he's definitely one of the most serious guys that you'll meet, especially when it comes to basketball.
Very energetic, always outgoing, and easy to like just really cheer up your day. He was like full of energy, and he brings that energy in practice every day, makes us work hard. So, we really need it.
Whether Coach Hopkins' personality and relationship with the team translates to wins during the season remains to be seen, but it's a great test for when the assistant takes over the helm in 3 seasons. Kevin Ryans, Citrus TV.
You're probably wondering how far Syracuse can advance this season. Our Cuse Countdown analysts make their predictions for the Orange as Basketball Preview Show wraps up next.
How you doing? My name's Steve. My family's lived in this neighborhood for years. Recently, things got so tight, we had to go to our local food bank for help. I lost a lot of sleep worrying about what the neighbors might think. That is until I saw them there, too. How'd I do, Steve?
A little stiff. You could have done a little better.
What? Come on. I have an Academy Award.
Yeah, but not for playing me.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Welcome back here on Basketball Preview Show. This isn't the only Citrus TV show you can watch. We have 3 other ones.
You can check out Orange Press Pass, Cuse Countdown, and On the Bench on youtube.com/CitrusTV.
You can also head there for coverage on the SU women's team. We have interviews with Coach Q and players from Media Day, so be sure to check those out.
Marcus White alongside Michael Barth as Cuse Countdown takes a look at the upcoming Syracuse basketball season. Michael, a lot of intriguing storylines this season. What are you looking out for the most?
Well, you got to look towards the NCAA sanctions. Jim Boeheim missing the first 9 ACC games. Now, it's good experience for Coach Hopkins, but you'd like to see him on the sidelines for those games, and they are appealing right now, so it could be reduced. But that's one of the big storylines heading into the season. What about you?
A lot of tough opponents in that stretch. UVA, Duke, and North Carolina Syracuse plays. Mike Hopkins will be tested very early. I'm looking forward to seeing the return of DeJuan Coleman. We really haven't seen him play in about 2 seasons. Played a little bit his freshman year as a roll off the bench, but with the loss of Rakeem Christmas, all of a sudden Syracuse has a lot to replace in the front court. It'll be interesting to see how Coleman does there. Where do you think the Orange finish in the ACC this season?
It's, as always, ACC is pretty packed. A lot of talent at the top of the league. I think they're going to finish, around 7 or 8, maybe 9, that area. I think overall it's going to be a better season than last season, but can't expect too much out of this team. They got some young talent and some good veterans on the court, but overall, I think it's going to be around 7 or 8.
I have them in that same range. I have them finishing 8th in the ACC. They're projected to finish 9th by a lot of places going into this season. I think the young, inexperienced group will take a little while to mesh, plus I think it'll be difficult for them to go through that 9-game stretch without Jim Boeheim, especially considering the group is so inexperienced. But I do think they will kind of be able to find their legs a little bit through the rest of the season. And on that note, where do you think the Orange finish at the end of the regular season, and where do they finish in the NCAA tournament?
18-13 last season. I'm going 21-10 this season. They break the 20-win mark. Definitely a better team than last year. Like I said, freshman talent coming in. We'll see if they can provide a spark for the team. But overall, 21-10, NCAA tournament seed, 10th. They're going to sneak in. We'll see how anything can happen from there, but don't expect too much out of this team.
I also have them improving on last year's win-loss total. I think Syracuse will finish the regular season 19-12 and sneak into the NCAA tournament as a 12 seed thanks to some late wins in the ACC tournament. I think this is a team that's going to find itself late in the season, and Jim Boeheim's squad will get back to the NCAA tournament after missing last season. Tim and Andrew, let's send it back to you guys.
We thank our Cuse Countdown analysts for those predictions. Looking forward to seeing if they're right or not.
Only time will tell. It's definitely a long season. It's also a shame that you and I don't get to make any picks.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're out of time. Otherwise, we would make some picks. But that pretty much does it for this edition of Citrus TV's Basketball Preview Show. For Andrew Scaglione, Tim Langlois signing off, all the crew here. Thanks for watching and enjoy the season.